Let's check in with the doc and look at things with a wider lens. Pastor Richards on OMG.
All right, we're awaiting our call from Dr. Richards. All right, let's see if we have him on the line. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Denise.
Good morning, Doc.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Doc.
Good morning, Dr. Richards.
We apologize for the very, very late start. I think we'll be able to give you that time back.
Okay. Actually, I'm so deeply moved that I didn't even remember the number to call. I'm so messed up. I'm deeply moved to the point of tears. Honest. My hands are shaking right now. My heart is beating. It's just palpitating. I'm very, very moved. You all hear me?
Doc, hold just a minute. Guys, could you pull down the music just a little, please, in studio, please? Yeah. Continue, Doc.
As you are aware, the Christian Coalition made an appeal and sent out a public statement, and also sent it to the Prime Minister. The essence of the appeal was this: for people not to be stripped of their jobs. Well, it is a tough time. This is Christmas to going into that. I mean, the essence is for people not to lose their jobs and benefits as a result of their vaccine hesitancy or reluctance to take the vaccine. And not just to the government, but it was also to private employees, that people should not lose their jobs. The Christian Coalition, a body of multiple denominations and churches in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and we don't represent personal positions. Frankly speaking, the majority, and I think those who received the letter know this, the majority of the pastors have already taken the vaccine. So it's not an anti-vax thing. It's not a personal thing. It's a representative thing. We represent our congregants. We represent our constituency. Are you guys hearing me? We represent our constituency, and we represent what they want us to express. We don't allow our personal politics, and we don't allow our personal position to stifle the sentiments of our congregation. So even if we feel one way, we're not like some others. When people express contrary views, we stifle it because it does not align with what we think. We don't bury it. Regardless of how we feel, we express what our congregants say, what they're thinking. Even if we think, whatever we think of it, we still have to express it. We have to argue for them. Even despite our own personal positions, we have to argue for them. We have to represent them. We are the shepherds. They are the sheep. And then our job is to take care. Luke chapter 15, 1-7, even when only one was errant, only one sheep was errant, for whatever reason, lack of judgment, lack of whatever, the shepherd left the 99 and went looking for the one. So the Christian Coalition, guys, if I get emotional, forgive me. The Christian Coalition made this appeal, a heart appeal. Related, it's not about the wisdom of the vaccine or anything of that nature. Guys, it is to say, can we protect jobs? We know choices have consequences, but do they have to be the worst of the consequences? Implicit, not stated, implicit within being, if I have to buy the rest of the time, if I go over to say what I have to say, I'm going to do it. Implicit within that request was the idea that can we do something other than this loss of job? If the matter is really a health thing and frontline thing and all of that, in my thinking, what does stripping of the benefit have to do with that? Stripping of the benefit is not a health measure. Then you get me? It's not a health measure. It does not assuage the situation. Somehow it comes across as punitive. It's not necessary to strip benefit. Somebody who is much sharper than I am will tell me I'm wrong, that it will help the situation by stripping a man of his income, and not just his income, but also affect his retirement and all the tens and hundreds of thousands. Just strip that too. That will help the situation. Help me to see that. So our position was, you don't have to strip the benefits. It's right there. Accrued benefits as a term. You don't have to do this unless the objective is not to mitigate against the vaccine, but to use legislative and monetary force. Do you have to? We said, do you have to do this? What about the idea? You say, well, you can move people around so there will be no loss of job. If the matter is frontline workers, are there other ways? So the Christian sent a very, I thought, a respectful request. A response was penned on the Prime Minister's office letterhead. And it's out in the public being, you know that, I saw it last night. And when I read it, I can't find the words, flabbergasted because of the office from which it came. This didn't come from you. This didn't come from Block 2000. This didn't come from a PS somewhere. This came from the highest office in the land, directed at, addressed to the head of PAWI, and meant, I guess, well, just, it was distributed from the highest office in the land, a viewpoint of aspects of the Christian. It was so informative to finally know what the office thinks of some within the pastoral ranks. And then, you know what? I don't even wish to respond to the Prime Minister via this forum. We can talk. The Prime Minister and I, we can talk. You know, and things like this nature is better you sit and deal with him privately and talk rather than to, you know, you don't pull down leadership. You don't do that. I mean, sometimes I tell people all the time, it's better to rebuke privately. He can't come out here and say some things that are on my mind. Can't. So what I practice, you know, what I preach, I had to practice. I don't want to respond to him now, but I wish to speak to the wider Christian community and for us to be reflective on what came on that office letterhead. And we have some hard questions to ask ourselves as we, I mean, the fact, first of all, this whole idea of a request coming to you, and you know, because you responded in a certain way, you know it's legit, and you were informed it's legit. But to insist it's a phantom, when we come to you, this is our forum, and mind you, we're not the greatest scholars in the world, which is clearly pointed out in very forceful language. I mean, to tell Christian men and women, when they express in the heartfelt consideration of their people, to say, you're all over the place. You know? I found it that we this idea that if we express certain things that we are hysterically being, listen to the terms, guys, and how we are being thought of, like I said, I'm speaking to the Christians, hysterically opposed to vaccine, flip-flopping, and our multiple contradictions and confusions. What we have to ask ourselves in light of this very strongly penned letter is if we truly are talking of things, quote unquote, of which we are most ignorant. How ignorant are we of the Constitution? Ignorant men talking. How ignorant are we of the SRNOs? How ignorant can we be of the vaccine? Ignorant people talking. Things of which we are most ignorant. You have any idea, my Christian brothers and sisters, what that does to be posited as ignorant? Things of which you're most ignorant, and what was, we have to consider which of us constitute the lowest common denomination. I didn't say denominator. Among us is, and we appeal to the lowest common denomination. Which of us is it? Is it my church that's the lowest common denomination? Is it the Pawi church's lowest common denomination? Is it the Wesleyan churches? Is it the Spiritual Baptist? Lowest common denomination? Rather than appeal to, is it that where's the enlightened leadership, quote unquote, in our ranks? Is it true? No, we have to ask, because this is what the letter on the letterhead says. The letter says this appeal to the lowest common denomination, juxtaposed against looking for enlightened leadership in our ranks. So clearly we have to sit back and ask ourselves, with all that we have represented in St. Vincent over the years, this lack of enlightened leadership in our ranks. My Christian brothers and sisters, we have to consider the pall of darkness. And when you talk about pall, it's a funeral image, death and darkness. But I'm just quoting exact words. The pall of darkness we have brought to the conversation through our request. I mean, as a Christian man, and we are supposed to bring light with our conversation. So my Christian brothers, we have to stop now and ask ourselves if when we talk and when people hear our talk, we are bringing a pall of darkness. Is that who we have become? Christians all across this nation, hear me. Is that who we have become? Some of us. Some. Because clearly the letter is not indicating that all are like this, but questions whether some are like this. When they talk, they bring a pall of darkness. When they write something that is not clearly articulated, that just bring up, that's, you know what I mean? That when we try to meet and we struggle to pull together meeting, my brothers and sisters, is it true that we are just hobbling in a mock unity? And being, I'm going to tell you this, to hear that when I know that, man, it hit me deep. I know that we are not all of the same position. I know that we are not all, but we try to come together to represent a point of view. And only to be told, is it true that our center will not hold? I wonder why our center, and we have to ask ourselves, why this imagined phantom center of our unity, somebody out there knows for sure that our center will not hold and that the effort will not last. I got to say this. Not because it comes from me. I'm reading the letter, and I've come to the realization, and we as Christians in this country, do we count for something? Do we count for something? When we put out a letter that is asking for a consideration, and you hear, well, only fringe elements. I mean, who among us would be the fringe elements? Who among us sectarians? And a strong word, dupes. Only dupes will side with this document. Maybe I'm the dupe because I'm a team player, so I side with the document. Which other of us have seen the document and say, I am with that? Well, only dupes will side with that kind of stuff. And like I said, this is not a street corner document. We are being told from the highest office of the land. This has to hit hard, and this has to resonate to everybody out there who thought, I am with this document. The highest office of the land, only dupes. Only dupes. Unwitting people. I'm using back the same words. And you know why? You know why only dupes will side with this document being? Like I said, I'm only addressing the Christian community. Only dupes will side with this document because of its flawed formulations and unchristian judgments. This appeal to ask that we rethink the loss of livelihood, that people should not lose jobs, representing our constituency. It's a flawed formulation. It has contained within it unchristian judgment. I lament among us because in the judgment in this letter and the assessment coming out in this letter of the demagoguery among us. Who's the demagogue? When you hear about the falsehood among the Christian coalition, when the letter points out falsehoods, and it's on the letterhead from that office. So, do you know what it means for the highest office of the land to indicate that coming out of the Christian coalition is falsehood? Does anyone have any idea as to the depth of that? This vanity as masquerading, and when we put things out there, when we speak as pastors, we have to ask ourselves, is it that we speak vanities and we masquerade as if we're telling the truth? That's a heavy one. I mean, I could go on and on. The letter hit me deep when I realized the thought of some of us, and I have to ask who of us. Clearly, the letter indicates and lauds others within the Christian community who are not like this. So don't get me wrong to say that the letter is saying everybody, the whole brush of the Christian community is like this. No. But we, as a Christian community, we have to ask ourselves, who among us are the masqueraders? Who among us, when we represent the people, spout falsehood and masquerade as truth?
Doc, excuse me. Do you have the letter at hand, please? Do you have it in front of you? By chance?
No, it's on my cell phone. It was sent to me on my cell phone.
Because a couple of persons are asking that if they can hear the letter, if you can read the letter.
This letter, let me tell you all, this letter is a 6-page letter in response to the 10 paragraphs that was not taken seriously. The 10 paragraphs were not on a letterhead, had no signatories, nothing, and therefore not to be taken seriously. it got a 6-page response. And that's what I don't get. 10 paragraphs got a 6-page response. A 6-page response. And it went deep, and it poured out a reflection of a thought of what we think of some of the Christian community leaders. This came on the letterhead of the land, and it ought not to be ignored. There's a way in which that office thinks of some of the leaders of this land. That we hold on to an irresponsible position. And what hit me personally is the idea that we are given, an being for what we represent, the idea that we are given an invitation to social disorder. When our mandate from God is to promote peace and unity and love and forbearance and all the things that we have done for all of these years in this country, to learn that we are given an invitation to social disorder, that is, that again, you realize what that is for some leader, pastoral leader or prelate, is, look up the word, to say that you're given an invitation to social disorder. And why all of this? Why all of this? Why this pushback to a 10-paragraph statement from the coalition? Because there's a statement in the Christian coalition that threatening anyone who has not taken the vaccine with loss of livelihood is unchristian and undesirable. I am confident that that was not meant. Why would a man take that as a personal attack against him? It's a positional principle statement. It calls your name. It just says the idea, the act of threatening anyone. So anyone who does it, anyone who threatens anyone. So if you are not threatening anyone, move on. Move on. If you are not threatening anyone, the statement was meant for public and private sector people, employers. So who the cat fits. It was not to point it to one particular person, say, you are threatening people, therefore you are unchristian. It says that threatening anyone with loss of livelihood, if they have not taken the vaccine, is unchristlike and undesirable. Fact. Not to say that somebody, this is not calling out somebody and telling you that you are unchristlike. It doesn't say the person is unchristlike. It is not ad hominem, unless you want to leverage what is not there to create something. I've seen it done. You create something and you have a position of fault. Never mind. You can't do that. If somebody intends no harm, then should you? Okay. Well, if no harm was intended but harm was felt, we apologize. I apologize. I didn't pen the letter, but I apologize because I'm on the coalition. What we're saying is that there are things that are unchristlike, and as Christian ministers, we are supposed to point out this action is unchristlike, this action is unchristlike. We can speak to and condemn and rebuke an action without calling out somebody and making it ad hominem and against them. We never called anybody unchristlike. Why you want to run with that? Why you want to run with that? Unless you need something. Come on, man. I mean, you're not a minister, so you don't know what it is like when a statement coming on that letterhead accuses you of being judgmental, tells you that you are unchristian. You are a minister. And it tells you you're unchristian, you are self-righteous, and you are divisive. Who does that? I mean, to question whether pastors, again, let me clear up, this thing is not saying all pastors. But it is saying that, man, you have among your rank pastors who are arrogant. Questions whether you're arrogant. You consider yourself to be Almighty God. That's what they say. That's what the letter is saying. Questions whether we have among our ranks those who consider themselves to be Almighty. That is real.
Okay, Doc. Okay. Well, Doc, I think we can end it there for today, if you don't mind.
No, I mind strongly, because I have a document on the letterhead of the highest office of the land.
Which is which office? The office of the Prime Minister, you say?
That says that there are pastors who damn men and women. That it basically it questions whether or not what we put and our posture and positioning and all of that will damn men and women of God. What kind of pastor can we be when we? That's why I said I have to ask ourselves the questions. Let us, in view of this letter, and it's a serious contemplative letter. In view of this letter, we had to ask ourselves, what are we doing, and how, if we are truly damning the men and women of this land? My God.
Okay, Doc. Well, we gotta wrap it up here. I think we gotta wrap it up here. And I understand, and I know, I can feel your passion on this issue. I am of the opinion that we heading for a showdown, a clash of words between the Prime Minister and some of the churches, the coalition of churches in SVG.
You hear me speak this morning like this, Bing. The pastors feel this, Bing, the pastors feel this one, because it ain't street corner talk. It finally tells the Christian community what is being thought about some. It finally puts it out in writing.
And what about the video, the recording that we played this morning that came from the pulpit in a sermon? What about that? What does that say?
I heard no recording, to be honest with you. I heard no recording, so I don't know.
You didn't hear the recording with the pastor in his presentation? You didn't hear it at all?
No, I didn't. I tried to listen to the station, Bing. You have to understand what I do. If you
yes, okay, all right, okay. Doc, I
do so many things in the morning.
All right, let's take a couple of minutes and let you hear it. Okay, guys, let's put this for Dr. Richards so that he can hear it, to put things into perspective for him as well too. Let's hear this. Go ahead, Dan.
I'm not certain where the video is on my end.
Where is Shady?
That would have. I don't think he's in the building anymore. He had to leave.
Okay.
Well, I guess
I'm sorry. We can. I'll send the video to you. But
okay, I think I found it.
Okay, go ahead. Hold on.
Constitution is built upon the supremacy of God, which is righteousness and justice and holiness, love and compassion. Mr. Prime Minister, God knows my heart. I love you, sir. We have sit together. We have had conversation in the past. I came to your office 7 times to caution you of the wisdom and knowledge God have given to you to govern this nation. Now you've turned your back against God. And you're threatening your people. I beg you, sir, take back these unjust laws. God already seen what will happen in the heart of man whom you allow to govern over the nations of the earth. Where are the eyes of the pastors when it comes to these scriptures. I watch and I listen to my brothers as pastors in this country, and they're preaching as if all is well in this nation. They're preaching as if all is well with the citizens of this country. Misleading our Prime Minister. Can you help me again? Go back to verse 1. Isaiah 10. Woe unto them that decree and righteous decrees, and let right grievousness which they have prescribed, to turn aside the need from judgment, mean just judgment, true judgment, and to take away the rights from the poor of my people. God has seen these things before the earth was formed. Some of us never know, never realize that these scriptures were laid in the Bible. When the Prime Minister and his cabinet went to Parliament and invoked an unrighteous law to justify the cause to dismiss civil servants and public servants in this country, God said, woe unto such leaders. I pray, God, that this war does not clinch our Prime Minister, but he will hearken unto the voice of the word of God and amend and do something different in the interest of hard-working Vincentian. Amen. The Prime Minister knows what I'm doing is right. And he's making fun of pastors in this country who are going along in an ungodly alliance. You see, when I speak the word, and I speak from this book, and you choose to sue me, well, Christ will be my lawyer, my barrister, before the court. And the only grounds I see I can be sued in this country is if we have then turned from democracy to communism. Yeah. Right now, these laws that are there against our workers, they are communist designed. Yeah. What is the call of the church? The call of the church is to be the light of the nation. My friends, these are serious times in which we are in. We are seeing that the governments of the day are invoking laws to take away the workers' rights. And this, God said, grieves his heart.
Doc, you got 60 seconds to wrap up and respond to this, please.
Yeah, I listened it through, so I heard what was said, what was actually being said there. I am, like I have said before, we as ministers, we have varied positions. We do not all hold the same position on everything. I continue to urge, as you would, if you get inside information, I continue to urge our ministers not to be ad hominem in their responses, to respect the office, to respect the Prime Minister's office, to deal respectfully, even when there is a variance or a difference of opinion. And I will continue to do that. We continue to pray for the Prime Minister. I wanted this morning to put some things out there that came out. The office, the Prime Minister's office, the response that came out on the letterhead is a very, very strong response, calling out certain things among Christian pastors. I wanted us to be aware of these things this morning, which is why I said I'm addressing the Christian nation and asking ourselves, where are these things? Please know this is what is being thought. That's what I said. Please know this is what is being thought. And where we can correct them, address them, look in the mirror and see if they're true, we need to. But we need to be aware of what the thought processes regarding some of the Christian leaders. And that's what you would have known, that's what I put out there. This is what, coming on the letterhead of the highest office of the land, this is what is thought of some of the leaders. Whether or not it is just or right or on point, as we look in the mirror, we have to figure out whether what is leveled against us is true or is errant. We have to look in the mirror and see.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. I'm catching you on Monday morning, God's willing. All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Quickly, as I wrap